Okay, so today we're going to be going over ropes and knots. So a brief introduction. I'm firefighter paramedic Nick Gossick. I've been doing this for 13 years, 6 years at Memphis Fire Department. So today what we're going to go over, we're going to do introduction to ropes and knots, the type of rope, and also the rope maintenance and cleaning. So introduction to ropes, they are widely used in the fire service. They have a variety of uses. Some may be they're only used for rescue, whether it's yourself or for victims or other firefighters. They're also an important part of training, knowing them, keep doing them every day, once a week whenever you're on shift to keep them fresh in your mind. And a firefighter must be able to tie a simple knot accurately without hesitation, both with your gloves or without your gloves. Primarily, you're going to be using them with your gloves to be inside of IDLA's environment most of the time. So we have two types of rope. They're going to be your life safety and then your utility rope. Your life safety is going to be solely for supporting people. Utility is used in most cases when it is not necessary to support a person. So basically for when you're hoisting tools and stuff up to a roof, whether it be chainsaw, a light pole, anything like that. So the life safety rope is never to be used as utility rope. It must be used when supporting the weight of one or more persons. So this is going to be your rescues, whether it's going to be, which we'll eventually touch on, is going to be your trench rescues, your rope rescues, confined space, stuff like that. In those type of situations, the rope failure can result in serious injury or death. So you want to make sure, as we're going to touch later, that you're checking these ropes for abrasions, cuts, old age, stuff like that. So NFPA 1983 specifies the design, construction, and performance criteria of these ropes. So there's two types. You got your one-person rope has a weight limit of 300 pounds. Your two-person rope has a weight limit of 600. So anything above those weight limits for one or two person rescues can obviously result in that rope failure, resulting in injury, death to you or whoever's on the other end of that line with you. So your personal escape rope, it's going to only be used in self-rescue in extreme situations, so behind a window last second, anything like that, which you could also use, Halligan, pipe pole, which we can go over later. It's designed for the weight, like I said, only one person. You have two more people on it. It's going to result in a rope failure, further injury or death to you or whoever's on the other end of the line. It should be replaced after one use, so not to be used again, just due to the conditions on that rope. Part of using your rope is always knowing your escape route and how that rope can be used if you have that, or also weapon that we're not going to cover just yet. Also, always have your personal rope in an easily accessible area. So you're going to be in an IDLH environment, not being able to see, so have it to where you're able to access it quickly and know, like we were talking about again, how to tie those ropes and knots and with your gloves on. Okay, so your utility rope, again, used to support the weight of just one person, used for hoisting, lowering, and securing your tools. Requires regular inspection. Is used where safety rope is needed, so you're not going to use that. Also, tag your rope, so between your utility, life safety rope, make sure you tag them, so that way it's easily, if you're in a situation where your adrenaline's going and you're not really knowing what's going on, your brain could be in a lot of different places, that way it's easily identifiable, or for your rookies, so they know what is what. So now we're going to go on the rope materials, what they're made of. So that they can be made of a few types of materials. The earliest ropes from way back when were made from natural vines that were woven together. Now they're mostly made of synthetic material. They're still done to where they can be woven together, but it's a lot less rare. Different materials are used for different situations. So natural fiber ropes, they're often made of manila, so they're fibers that are woven together. There's various lengths twisted together for strands, which makes the weight limit on them. They're currently only used for utility, not life safety tasks. So your natural fiber ropes are going to be for hoisting your tools and such. The disadvantages of natural fiber ropes are they're going to be subject to mildew and deterioration. They absorb a lot of weight and water, and so if they're not dried properly, or if they get a lot of water soaking in them, they're difficult to dry, deteriorate. So you're not expecting them. They're prone to fail. So what you see in most ropes nowadays are your synthetic fiber ropes, first manufactured in 1938, and they've been, ever since 1938, they've been used for your synthetic fiber. So there's 4 different types. So you're gonna have your nylon, most commonly used. It has higher melting temperature, so that's why you're gonna use it for your personal escape rope that can be held at higher temperatures. It has good abrasion resistance, so if you're bailing out the window or such like that, it's more prone to not being cut. It's also, like I said, strong and lightweight, so that's why a lot of people carry it as well, both in their pockets or trucks or pumpers that have rope bags. Your second is going to be your polyester, which is the second most common and used in life safety ropes as well. And you got your polypropylene, which is your lightest of the synthetic fibers. It does not absorb on water and it floats, so you're going to be using those in mostly water rescue situations, which we'll get into a little later. It isn't used as life safety due to its low melting point, difficulty to knot, and it's not as strong, so it can, again, be more prone to failure. So, advantage of the synthetic fiber rope, so you're going to have stronger than natural fibers. It's going to use fibers that run the entire length of the rope for greater strength, safety and strength, unlike the natural rope. It's going to not do that. It's going to be shorter amounts, which makes it not as strong, more likely to break. It's also more resistant to rot and mildews, which is one of the reasons why it's also used in water rescue. It's also more resistant to melting and burning, so it's not going to fail when you're in a fire. It's also less water absorbent, so they can be washed and reused. It's not just a single use. And some will float on water. So disadvantages of synthetic rope, prolonged exposure to ultraviolet light, strong acids, or alkalis that can damage the rope and make it fail. Also highly susceptible to abrasions and cutting. So rope construction, twisted rope, also called laid rope, made of individual fibers that are twisted into strands. Strands are twisted to make the rope. Both natural and synthetic fibers can be twisted, so it can be used in either or. Exposes all fibers to abrasion if they do it that way. Twisted ropes are also stretch and are prone to unraveling. So braided rope construction, strands are woven like hair braiding, exposes all the strands to abrasion the same way as the twisted ones. Synthetic fibers are also most commonly used in braided rope construction, which is what you'll see on a lot of your life safety rope. Double braiding can also protect the inner core, which is going to make it stronger and not fail as often. So you also got kern mantle rope construction. It consists of 2 parts, which is going to be the kern and the mantle. The kern is going to be the center core of it. It's also going to give it all its strength, up to 70% of it. The mantle is the sheath-like braiding that protects it, and it's going to protect it from dirt and abrasion. So you're going to see that most likely used in a lot of your rope rescues, your rope bags that you're going to see on your equipment. Kern and mantle are synthetic, but also may be different types of materials depending on the manufacturer. Each fiber in the kern extends the entire length of the rope. So like we were talking about, when it twists together, it's going to do the entire length, where your natural fibers are not going to do that. It also provides a very strong and flexible rope that's thin and lightweight, as we've been talking about. So that's why you're going to see it used in your water rescues, or just your other type of rescues in your own equipment. So that way it's not letting yourself or anyone else down. So moving on, we're going to go into dynamic and static rope construction. So your dynamics can be designed to be elastic and stretch under their loads. You're going to usually see those mostly with your mountain climbers, since they're going to be more prone to falling from greater heights and having that bounce. You're not going to really see that with in the fire service that much. Static is not going to stretch under the load, so that's why you're going to see it being more suitable for rescue situations where falls from heights are not as common in fire service. Sometimes you will have it. Most rescue trucks and regular trucks will carry both, and it just depends on the type of call you're going to go on and what you're going to use. And so, going into that technical rescue, you're going to be using ropes are often going to be used to access and extricate individuals. Several hardware components may also be used during this type of rope rescues. Examples are going to be your carabiners. They're going to secure and connect your lines. You're also going to use different type of harnesses that are going to be attached via the carabiner. So your seat harnesses, chest, ladder belts are also going to be different types of hardware that you may see in a technical rescue where you're using ropes. They all need to be both the ropes and the hardware need to be inspected and cleaned regularly to make sure that they're in compliance and they're not going to fail when you're jumping into these different technical rescues. So you're going to have your rope rescue, which is going to involve your people trapped in normally inaccessible locations, using, like we said, anchors, weapon carabiners. Trench rescue confined space, so you're going to have like silos, tanks, storm drays, highway drop-offs where you might have to do low, high-angle rescues, your confined space rescues with tethered lines and such. They're often very complex and time-consuming rescues, especially when you're setting up your system. You want to make sure all the ropes are secured, tied correctly, and that you're using the right type of knots and hardware. Water rescue, they can be as simple as using a throw bag that's using rope tied to a life preserver, or they could also be complex where you're going to have multiple pulley and tether systems being used at the same time. Getting into the rope maintenance, all ropes are going to require the proper care. It's essential for life safety of the rope, but just for both ropes in general to ensure the safety and their lifespan. So there's 4 parts to it: the care for it, cleaning it, inspecting it, and storing it. Care, you want to protect from sharp and abrasive surfaces when you can. Obviously, for yourself, extricate out a window or anything like that, you're not going to really have a chance. But if you're doing certain types of rescues, you can use different types of cloth or stuff to protect it from rubbing against jagged surfaces. Try to protect it from heat, chemicals, and flame when you can, depending on what situation you're in. Protect it against from rubbing against other rope as long, and avoid prolonged sunlight exposure. So don't dry these out in sunlight, so it's just going to deteriorate the rope and make it more prone to found if they're not regularly inspected. Never step on a rope because it can cause abrasions, wear and tear on it. Always follow the manufacturer's care guidelines on how to inspect it and clean it and store it. Cleaning it for your synthetic fibers, you're going to be using mild soap and water. You can use a rope washer with like a garden, or wash it with a garden hose. You also, depending on if it's the synthetic fibers, you can use a mesh bag and throw it in the washer. Always just make sure you let it air dry. Again, not letting it out in the sun because it can degrade. You can use a mild detergent, just no bleach. And again, don't pack or store it wet or damp. Air dry it, and don't use mechanical dryers. That's going to make it prone to getting cut or falling apart. Rope inspection. You're going to inspect life safety rope after each use on a regular schedule, and on manufacturer's guidelines or your department's SOPs. You're going to inspect visually, looking for cuts and damage as it runs through your fingers. Do it nice and slow, don't kind of brush through it. Life safety rope that can no longer be used must be destroyed, so placed out of service, taken away or destroyed, however your department's SOPs are. Sometimes you can also downgrade it to your utility rope that's clearly marked and everyone knows what it's going to be used for. And you want to maintain a record for life safety rope. That's going to vary depending on your department. Storm ropes, you're going to avoid temperature extremes and you're going to keep out of sunlight. Don't put it really in your oil rooms where you're going to have gasoline, oils, or hydraulic fluids around. Those fumes are going to deteriorate that rope over time. Use a separate apparatus compartment again, so it's kind of, as we said before, keeping out gasoline, oils, and hydraulic fluids, keeping away from that. Same thing goes on your apparatus, keeping it in different compartments. Don't place any heavy objects objects on the rope that's going to cause undue stress or strain on the ropes. Use rope bags to protect and store the rope, and if you do that, make sure they're labeled so that, again, if you're in a time-sensitive situation, you know what bags to be grabbing, and also mark the lengths on that rope, depending on what your department wants you to carry. If it's shock loaded, inspect and consider removing from service. And so now get into the knots. Knots are a prescribed way to fasten ropes and webbing to objects or each other. Firefighters must know how and when to do these knots, both, like I said, with and without gloves, and kind of have to be second nature. Make sure you're going over these yourselves and with your crew on a regular basis. They're used for multiple purposes, so hitching, you've got your loops, your bends, and your safety knots. So going over rope terminology, you got your working end, used in forming knots. Your running end is going to be used in the lifting or hoisting of your materials or tools. Your standing part is going to be in between the working and running end, and your bite is going to be the reverse direction that forms a U in the bend, and your loop is going to be your circle in the rope. For your safety knot, it secures leftover working end to the standing part. It's going to prevent against the knot coming undone or loosening, which you don't want to do. You want it to be nice, tight, and secure so it won't go anywhere. And it's always used to finish all the knots that you will learn. So your 8 basic fire service knots are going to be your safety knot, which is your overhand knot, your half hitch, close hitch, figure eight on the bend, your figure 8 follow through, your bowline, and your sheet bend or beckett bend. So today we're going to go over tying a bowline knot. So you're going to make the desired size loop and bring the working end to the back of the standing part. You're going to form another small loop in the standing part of the rope, the section close to the working end on top. You're going to pass the working end over the loop around the standing part and back through the same opening, and then tying the knot by holding the working end, holding the standard part of the rope backwards. So we're going to just do that all in one motion. You're going to make your loop up, around, back through the working end. And at the end, you're always going to tie your safety as well on it. And that's going to be your bowline knot. So that's going to be your bowline. And now we're going to go over tying more ropes and knots and do some practical exercises.